Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I have another layout and I'm just showing you some stuff, and I had taken out quite a few die cuts from MFT and different brands, but I end up using one of them. And here are some stamps from Coco Daisy, which I will be using. I'll be using two different stamps, and this is the second one. It's a constellation, and the papers used on this one is from the March kit, and one of them is My Mind's Eye Boy Crazy, and that's the star. And the other one that looks like a maze is All About a Boy from Echo Park. And at first I had that craft paper for my background, but then I decided I want to stamp on it, so I went and got a light blue paper. And then I have a scrap of vanilla, which is what I'm going to mat my photos on. And I usually scrap a lot of 4x6, like in their, normal or natural form, I guess. And but where I've been doing quite a bit of pages in a row, I just want to kind of change it up. So I've been cutting into my photos a little bit, and there was a lot of stuff that I didn't want in the background on those photos anyway, so I cut two of the photos down so that I could still have the three photos and just make it smaller on the page so that I could have it wouldn't take the whole 12-inch. And these photos are at the American Museum of Natural History, and there was a section that was all about the constellations and the stars, and I think here it was actually all about the stars. And my son, he's a boy, so he was reading everything about it, and then he had his he has a DSi, and you can take pictures with it. And even though I was taking pictures, he was like, no, I want to take my own pictures, and he was taking pictures with his DS, and he was really into it, and I thought that was kind of cute. Because you kind of hope that if, your kids will still enjoy a museum, because it's not rides at Disney, you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting, but to a 13-year-old boy, it's not this crazy, roller coaster. But they really enjoyed it. They really loved. We just wish we would have had a little bit more time. We had, I think, maybe 4 or 5 hours, and we just felt like we had to run almost through. Like, when we were in an I'll say exhibition, like in one area, we would take our time and look at everything, but when we would go from one to the other, we would like walk really fast pace, to try to get to the next thing so that we could try to see the most that we could do. And we still maybe got to see 1/4 or maybe 2/3 of the museum. It was just, if we go again, we're going to go and see it again. We just kind of looked and said, okay, we absolutely have to see this, and this. So, and of course the dinosaurs and the stars and all that stuff were in it. So now I went through my stuff and I got some digital prints, and I believe it's the Atlantic one, and it had a lot of stars and moons on it, and I had used the top part of it on another layout, so I used the bottom part of it on this layout, and then the other one just says right now. And then there was another one that had it's like a little tag, and it's a star, so I thought that was perfect. And then I did stamp the background with that constellation stamp. And I had one heck of a time with that stamp. Like, it just didn't want to stamp in the middle. I even did the trick with the eraser and then washed it. And it's just such a fine detail stamp. And you're going to see me here stamping it quite a few times. I even took a foam or a mat to put underneath to try to. I even did the backwards. You put the stamp down and then the paper. I got it to stamp out twice correctly. And I'm not going to give up on it. I'm going to try again. And I'm going to do the eraser thing again. But it was just one spot that didn't want to cut out. And I thought, well, most of the time I cut it in half anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. So you see here, like, I don't need this many of constellation, but I just can't give stuff up. Like if it doesn't work, I got to keep trying until, you know, as long as I can to see if it's going to work. So at this point I decide to, oh man, I'm filming. I, can't do this forever. So I decide to use some of those stamps that came in my Cocoa Daisy, and I'm only subscribed to the stamp because I'm not decided yet if I want to do their kit club yet. If I do decide on doing another kit club, then I won't get the add-ons with Studio Calico. So I haven't decided yet because I do love Studio Calico. So I'm just kind of, I bought stamps from Scraptastic and I bought stamps from now Cocoa Daisy just to kind of see. Scraptastic, it was like 4 months ago or whatever, and then I subscribed to Cocoa Daisy because you can, and that was a few months ago, with just a stamp set. You don't have to do the kit club, so I thought I'd try that, and I really love those stamps. And now I'm going to decide on a sticker from Dear Lizzie, and it says, "This is my happy place." And I'm going to do a cluster at the bottom right there. And I did dig through my flare badges, and I'm trying to use them up a little bit more because I have so many of them. And I tried to use that ribbon again, and no go. It just can't get it to match with my layout. So I'll keep trying. And now I'm going through and looking through my tags to see if there's any that matches. And someone asked me if I printed my digital kits at home, and I do have a silhouette cameo that I could cut them out with, but it's still in the box. I don't have the spot for it yet because I do have a silhouette, not a silhouette, a Cricut expression, and so I don't have the room for it yet. So I do go to Staples online and I get them printed there. And I think even if when I do get my cameo set up, I'm still going to do it because it's so easy and it's cheaper. It's like 50 cents, and and the ink for my printers, like I have to buy 4 different inks and they're like $20 each. So, and it seems when I use my printer a lot, I go through them quite a bit. So this way it's 50 cents and it's nothing. Like it takes them minutes to print it. And all what I just did there, all those constellations that I stamped out, I don't have a 3-inch circle punch, because it's not something that I use all the time. But I do have a spellbinder, so I just punch them out. And now I thought it'd be fun to have a border, like a star border on that pattern paper. But I don't have the right one. Like it was actually cutting out the whole. It didn't look like a border. It just looked like I punched out some stars out of it. So I decided not to use it. I'm going to ink all my edges with brown because that pattern paper is the only thing that is brown on the page. So I decided to ink all the edges with brown for all my embellishments. And I'm going to cut that constellation in half. And now I'm going to start gluing everything down. And I did take out a couple of freckled fawn wood veneers, and they're the words epic and neat. I'm on my second package of those. I love them. And right now I have 3 badges on the page, but I'm going to get rid of that red one. It's just too much. And I'm going to put some foam tape in behind my flare badges, and I'm using my giant roll of foam tape. And I got that at Custom Crops. And the reason that I say it all the time is I keep getting the questions, so I don't know if it's because they're not at the video yet that I mentioned it. So I'm just going to, it only takes a few seconds to mention it. So these little rhinestones are from Close to My Heart, and I think they're called itty bitty. They're the very, very small ones. And anyway, my battery had died, and I just showed you a couple of packages of papers, and all you guys can see is right there. It's like 12 inches by 12 inches, right? Well, the rest of my desk was in a complete mess. Like it was just I couldn't even think anymore. So it just got me, while my battery was charging, I cleaned up my whole scrap room. I even, put clips on my pattern paper, the ones that are all cut up, like my scraps and my cardstock, and I moved even everything around in my scrap room. I bought one of those containers from Michael's that have the 3 drawers, and you can put the paper towel on the side, and the top kind of has little containers. Not containers, but it's divided. And that was to my left, and I'm right-handed, so I moved it to the right side, and it seemed to open up my scrap room for some reason a whole lot more. I have a place now for my tripod so that it's not in the way. Anyway, I'm a little OCD, so it just felt good to get everything all cleaned up before I started again. So I just waited for those little rhinestones to finish drying up, and then what I did was I put it in the center of each star that I stamped. And the color of the stars that I stamped is navy from Hero Arts. I forgot to mention that. And then I thought the page was done. I actually showed close up and everything, and then I turned the video off. The battery hadn't died or anything. And then when I went to put the layout away, I was like, I didn't do my title. So I went and got from my stash. They're from Studio Calico, and they're the little letters, and I just love them. And I decided that I wanted to color them. I didn't want them in the raw state. So I'm going to use at this point, I don't know if I want to use Cup of Joe or navy. So I'm doing a letter with each color, and then I just decide to do the navy because they're so small anyway, it doesn't really notice. You can't really tell. So I'm still trying to decide. And then I'm just going to ink them all up in blue. And then I'm going to put them in my Versamark. And at first I used my nice one, and even though I dried them up, it was still a little too, it was going to leave marks on my good pad. So I went and got an old Versamark that I don't care about, and then I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to put Versamark and then clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to ink them up. And so while I'm doing that, I'm just going to let you know that this is layout 38 of 50 for that Facebook challenge. So I'm getting there. I'm almost, I'm getting closer. And this layout took me an hour and 47 minutes. And that's why it seems that it's the faster pace, is because when I tried to do it at the 4 times, it would have been 27 minutes. And I had asked how long everybody liked the videos, and the consensus, most of the people said that 15 to 20, being the max. And that's how sort of where I felt too. So this one would have been 27 minutes. So I was like, no way, I'm not doing that. So that's why it's a little faster. And now I'm going to put my title right there on that little tag. And this is layout 12 for the March kit. So now I'm going to show you some close-ups again. And just so that I mentioned it, I put still pictures at 2Ps in Studio Calico in the galleries. And my username is Nicole Jones 911. So thanks for watching. Bye.